Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome back to Monday and the Hot Topic Show, our 10 a.m. show. We're so glad that you're here. Where are you guys streaming from? Where are you tuning into us from? Let us know. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. We're getting it together. I had to walk the dogs, on and on and on. Just stuff. So I'm glad that you're here. I want to talk to you about what happened last night. And because last night was a little bit nuts. And I don't know if you saw what happened here in New York City that people are really talking about. And the question is for everyone, whether or not this sort of ruins it perhaps for Donald Trump, if it makes a difference. The Republicans are obviously playing it down. The Maga folks are playing it down. It is going crazy on social media. It is going crazy on traditional corporate media. And I want to know what you guys think about it, if you think it was problematic. So good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that all of you are here. There's a little bit still construction happening in my book. I'm wearing my I voted sticker because I went to vote. I hope you went to vote too. Hello from Cleveland. Hello, Mississippi. Travel with Kim. I'm glad that you're there. So here's the thing. I'm going to get right to it because there were sort of battling rallies this past weekend, right? Between the former First Lady, our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama, and then this big rally that happened in New York City. Here's the question as we talk about the hot topics, because this is really the hot topics. And I know that you guys, again, the MAGA folks are playing this down. They don't think it's going to make a difference. I believe that it will make a difference because I think things are shared now through social media, online, digitally, in ways that they're not shared in traditional media. Okay? So Donald Trump, I believe, may have just lost the presidential race last night with that rally. I think he may have just lost the presidential race. And I know that folks are going to say, well, he didn't say it. Well, maybe it's true that he did not say it, but he had someone on stage. And whether they vetted them or not, I don't know. I believe that they had to have vetted him. They had to know this comedian his name is, it's called a Kill Tony podcast. And there's a whole method to why I'm going to tell you. People are wondering, well, why is this guy getting so much attention? Why is he on the Tom Brady roast? Why is he at a Trump rally in Manhattan? Why is he there during one of the most critical times when the election is about to be had in just what is it, 7 days? Right? Tuesday, we're at Monday. It's next Tuesday. Why is he getting so much attention? Well, here's the thing. That is the strategy. That was the strategy from the Trump people. The Trump people are trying to reach out to this manosphere, to all of these young people and all of these influencers and all of these streamers. These podcasters, streamers, influencers are all on social media and they're very popular. Kill Tony is one of the most popular podcasts out there. Okay? He's one of the most popular streamers out there. So don't get it twisted. You may think like, oh, this is a nothing comedian, but this is who the young folks, he appeals to the young folks. And again, I'm going to explain all of it to you. But there was a rogues gallery of speakers last night. And the question is, instead of staying on message and talking about inflation and government spending and Trump's at his rally at Madison Square Garden, the second to the last Sunday before the election was a release of rage. It was a release of political and legal at the political and legal system. And it was really aimed at, it seems their ire was aimed at the least of these, right? At immigrants and people who are disaffected really in society. And I just want to show you this rogues gallery of speakers, meaning there was a bunch of different speakers, most of them men. There were some women there. But I'm going to show that to you just to give you a flavor of it. Kill Tony. Yes. Linda Ferker, I see what you mean. Let's just look at some of the speakers and then I'll explain to you what's going on. Here it is.
Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. Migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
Andy, that's the Kill Tony one. I wanted the one with
wild.
just
And these
all the
Latinos, they
speakers
love
who are
making
there.
babies.
Just kind of a bunch of the speakers who are there. That's the Kill Tony. I'm going to explain that one. But this is like every single speaker almost who sort of made headlines. There we go.
All right. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm Doc.
That's Alina Habba. That's his attorney. Here's Hulk Hogan. Now remember, this is 7, 8 days before
Prayer for
the election.
Governor Tim Walz, because he's got the hardest job in American politics. He's got to convince the American. What's up, man? You all can say that. I probably shouldn't say that.
We must elect Donald J. Trump president because we must crush jihad.
Okay, so much for toning down the rhetoric. Now, again, this is a vivid, really, honestly, racist display of the dark energy that's animating the MAGA movement. That's what's animating the MAGA movement. Now, I don't know what you guys think about it. Some folks might think it's okay. I know the young folks, they relate to some of these people, right? This is where the young people are getting their information from, these folks like this, from the social media sites, from their podcasts, from their digital shows, from wherever they're streaming. So there's a whole reason that people are sort of screaming about freedom of speech and on and on and on, because they want to have free reign to be able to spread massive misinformation and hate. Okay? So let's talk about this one comedian. This one comedian, his name is, well, he's part of a Kill Tony. I forget what his last name is, really. So he's a comedian that is very popular that I was explaining to you. He was one of the first speakers, if not the first speaker, to come out after the national anthem. And he comes out with a joke about immigrants and about how immigrants don't like contraception, according to him. But it's very disparaging. And now the Trump campaign is having to respond. And they are scrambling behind the scenes. They're trying to put up a good face in front of the cameras. But behind the scenes, they're panicking. Trust me. I know they are, because they're like, what the hell? Here's a comedian from Kill Tony. First joke.
Welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Not really. Not really the party with a good sense of humor. Because, look, I would say, look, if you are on a stage at the comedy, the Laugh Factory or Caroline's Comedy Club or something, that might be appropriate and okay. And I know it's a comedian, but this is a rally that is someone who is running for the highest office in the land. This is just days before the election. There's already a problem that you have with immigrants and women and on, and then you do this. Is that problematic to you? Or do you guys think it's okay? It's funny? Because again, I know that you may think it's funny, but I'm telling you, the Trump people are panicking behind the scenes. They may put on a good face. They may be on social media. All the MAGA supporters will be on saying, oh, it's no big deal. You're making too big of a deal out of it, Don and others. No, I can read the zeitgeist. I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I know this is problematic. And you may not be seeing it. It may not be in your local paper. It may not be in, you may not see it, you know, on, if you're watching conservative news, right? They're downplaying it. But trust me, if you go on social media, it is trending. People are talking about it. People are upset about it. The folks are, the Trump people are making excuses for it. And the other people, the other folks, the centrist, sensible people are rightly outraged. And even the sensible Republicans who maybe they just want a Republican person in office, they are outraged and they are saying, well, this loses it. How can you have someone on stage that is so disparaging of immigrants and migrants? Not to mention the next joke, which is about Puerto Rico, which really is the thing that caused the problem. Here it is.
Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
Okay. Puerto Rico is a floating garbage in the ocean. Floating garbage in the ocean. Maybe you think that is funny, but you know who didn't think it was funny? You know who didn't think it was funny, and rightly so? Bad Bunny, who has 45 million followers on just Instagram and then more on X and other platforms. 45 million followers. The same thing goes for J-Lo with 200 million on just some platforms and then millions, hundreds of millions more on other platforms. Millions of fans across the world. Ricky Martin, same thing. They have about as many followers on social media as there are Americans. More than the number of people who are voting in this election. And you know what they all did? They all retweeted the vice president. Now this is a tacit endorsement where they're not coming out saying, I support her. But immediately when that happened, they retweeted the vice president, Kamala Harris, giving her support, talking about her support for Puerto Rico, while Donald Trump has people on stage laughing about Puerto Rico being a floating pile of garbage in the ocean. This is what they retweeted from the vice president.
Now, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is home to some of the most talented, innovative, and ambitious people in our nation. And Puerto Ricans deserve a president who sees and invests in that strength. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. And now Donald Trump promises to be even more extreme, talking about using the military against his political enemies and being a dictator on day one. Puerto Ricans deserve better. As president, I will always fight for you and your families, and together we can turn the page and chart a new and a joyful way forward.
So for all of you who are watching here on YT, on the tube, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the like and subscribe. If you're watching us on TikTok, make sure you follow us and hit the heart button as well. Now, that is a stark contrast. There is a stark contrast between those two things. I have heard so many MAGA surrogates this morning and last night saying this is no big deal. This is how you know it's a big deal. Immediately, the Trump campaign released a statement saying this does not reflect how Donald Trump feels about Puerto Rico or about anyone. That's how you know it's problematic, because usually they would not release a statement. That's what they did immediately. Then, because they couldn't make an excuse for it, there was no rationale, no rational excuse for it. What do the MAGA folks do? They start coming up with conspiracy theories. Oh, this was a setup by the Democrats. This is a setup by the Democrats. Case in point, one of the most rational sarcasm of the MAGA folks. You want to hear from Laura Loomer? This is what Laura Loomer said. Now get this, right? As if somehow the Democrats planned this, that somehow they infiltrated the MAGA infrastructure and said, book this comedian. It's going to be great. And then this comedian will say something shitty about immigrants in Puerto Rico, and then we can win the presidency that way. Thank you, TikTok, for that. I appreciate it. As if. This is what the profound wisdom of Laura Loomer says. Doesn't anyone think it's weird how Kamala Harris rolled out her policy on Puerto Rico the same day Tony Hinchcliffe, that's Kill Tony, told a joke at the Trump rally? Again, Laura Loomer, get ready for the conspiracy theory. Here's a timeline of what went down today, according to Miss Laura Loomer. Early this afternoon, Kamala Harris released a video talking about Puerto Rico. Okay. 1 hour later, comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, at Tony Hinchcliffe, made the joke about Puerto Rico at the Trump rally. Shortly after that, Bad Bunny endorsed Kamala Harris. Did you know that Bad Bunny and Tony Hinchcliffe share the same management label? Did the management at United Talent, UTA, leak Tony Hinchcliffe's jokes? And if they did they do so because he's pro-Trump? Laura Loomer, I don't like to call people names, but that is the stupidest shit that I've ever heard. That is the dumbest excuse for an excuse that I've ever heard. By the way, full transparency, I am represented by UTA. UTA, why didn't you call me and tell me? You could have alerted me. Why didn't you guys call me and say, hey, Don, Tony's going to do this and we have this whole conspiracy, but don't tell anybody. We need you to say something about it, blah, 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 and get upset. No, I had no idea. I don't know who Tony is. Come on, Laura Loomer. Come on, Trumpers. Really? Are you kidding me? Are you guys kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. That is what Laura Loomer is saying this morning. And that is what other members of the MAGA. Thank you, Manny Miranda on YT, for your support, a very generous support of independent media. That's what they're saying this morning. Can you believe this crap? Come on, y'all. Can you believe this crap? I have my breakfast here. I got up late. Do you guys mind if I let me know if you mind if I take a little nosh every once in a while? Because I've been on the road. I've been working. I've been hustling for you. Terry Stork, thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, I've been on the road working for you. I'm going around. I'm going to go around again. Thank you, Kevin R., for supporting independent media. I appreciate you guys. That's the only way that we stay streaming is through your generous support. So thank you. That is not calling her a name. It is what it is, said Rockin' Rob. Yeah, I'm just saying it's the stupidest thing. One of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Think about it. if you're following us on the TikTok, you should know on the TikTok, you should know that we're commenting. Your comments are being placed live on YT. We can read them there. And then afterwards, TikTok, when I'm done with this, when I'm done with this, folks, thank you, Tom Maxwell, for your support of independent media. And I'm going to read some of your comments. When I'm done with this TikTok, I'm going to talk to you separately, have a conversation with you about what's going on. Because when we've been going around, I've noticed when we go live on TikTok, folks will come over. They'll come out of their apartments. They'll come out of their homes. They'll come out of their dorm rooms. They'll come out of wherever. Hey, Don, I saw you. You were on campus. I saw you were nearby. So I decided to come over and talk to you. So make sure everyone hit the like, hit the subscribe buttons, and hit the follow buttons. And also make sure you check out our social media because we're killing it. Okay? We are killing it. And if you subscribe, it's free. Thank you very much, Leanne. I appreciate it. Okay. Why on earth would they do that? And not only was it some racist immigrant jokes, right? Now, look, I believe I give comedians a lot of leeway, but I think that things need to be appropriate, right? Nancy Gomez, thank you as well. I think things need to be appropriate. Now, you guys know I'm black, right? You know I'm black. I can take black jokes. I do, we have jokes that are inappropriate that we do amongst ourselves with my friends of all different ethnicities. Wait a minute, Danny, dude. Really, Danny? Thank you so much. It was very generous of you. Danny, I can't find your thing. I think Danny just donated like $500. Wow. I don't ask you guys for this. You guys just started doing it on your own by yourself without me saying anything. But I really appreciate your generous support of independent media. Wow. So you guys, it must be resonating what we're doing. And so I thank you so much for that. Thank you. Danny, there you are. DKK, super sticker. You're the best, Danny. Thank you. Wow. Makes me want to cry just because that means you guys really enjoy what we're doing and you like the independence that we have here. So let me just say to all of my friends out there, all of my Puerto Rican friends who I love, and there are many, I live in New York City. I'm sorry that this crap happened to you. I'm also sorry to, quite honestly, my Jewish brothers and sisters, that you had to witness this sort of negative energy that was reminiscent of a 1939 Nazi rally that happened at Madison Square Garden. I said reminiscent. I didn't say that people were Nazis. I'm just saying the imagery and having it in New York City almost to the exact time that that rally was held in 1939. So I'm sorry for you. I'm thinking about you. I'm also thinking about my Puerto Rican friends, and I'm thinking about my migrant friends as well. I'm thinking about my Haitian friends, one of which a Haitian man who works in my building. He stopped me when I just drove in this weekend, and he said, hey, I saw you doing something about Trump and Harris and the campaign, and I had never watched you before on CNN because, some folks just don't have the resources for cable or whatever, but he has Instagram, and he saw me on Instagram. And some people are just unplugging. And I get that so much. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you I love what you're doing here. And so he is a Haitian man. He goes, this man and these people don't understand what Haitian migrants bring here. They don't understand our contribution. They don't understand that we come here for a better life. They don't understand that we just went on and we talked for a while. So I'm thinking about all of you, and I'm sorry that you had to witness that. But there's also some racist shit that they said about black people. And maybe you thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny. I think if a joke is funny, it's funny. That's the #1 rule in comedy. This is a racist Halloween joke that Kill Tony said. Here it is.
Heck yeah, it's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that, a lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
Funny? Maybe in a bar. Maybe me and my buddy who I've known forever since college, and we've had a talk about what's happening in the world, and he knows, he gets what's up. He's not like some racist pig who gets what's happening in society. And he's like, I got a joke for you, Don. Okay, maybe. But usually my friends are more aware than that. Or, you know, sometimes things are inappropriate among friends. You tell jokes. That was inappropriate. That shit was not funny. The joke has to be funny. It's not. We carved whatever. We carved some rhubarbs last night. See, that's the thing. Can I just be honest with you guys? I'm just going to be real with you. Okay. Everybody on every platform that you're watching on TikTok, here on the YT, on wherever. That's some stupid white boy college bro bullshit that they think is funny. They think it's okay. They become too familiar with black culture or people from other cultures that they think they can say that shit or even make jokes about women or whatever. That's some dumb bullshit that you think that is okay. Just like you guys, if you ever watch these comedians, they think they're funny and they're always making like gay jokes that are not funny usually. Sometimes a gay joke can be funny, but they are obsessed with gay jokes. Why are you so obsessed with gay jokes and gay people? Why are you like college dudes, bro, supposed to be bros, straight? Why are you always so concerned about my relationship and what I do in my bedroom and who I'm? Why are you obsessed with that? Why are you so interested in that? Why are you constantly making dick jokes? You're obsessed with the male anatomy and making jokes about it and talking about your size and all of that stuff. Why? I don't hear black comedians, especially men, doing that at all. What is it, white guys? What is it? Why do you do that? What's the deal? What's the insecurity? What's the obsession? Why are you obsessed? Why are you always making black jokes about? See, here's the thing. I find most comedians, black comedians, they make black jokes about black people. Right? Every once in a while, they'll make a joke about a white, okay, whatever. And it can be funny. But they're on a comedy stage. Do you ever hear anybody at a Kamala Harris rally, a Barack Obama rally, a Joe Biden rally, a Hillary Clinton rally, making jokes about immigrants, about black people, about penises, about gay people, about immigrants, do you ever hear that? Like, is it appropriate? It says a lot about you that you choose that venue to make those sorts of comments. It says what? That you don't even know that you're flipping racist. That you don't even know that you're a flipping bigot. You don't even know that you're a misogynist. You have no idea of your bias. You have no idea of your unconscious homophobia and your insecurity about maybe it's you got some sort of thing. Like, do you want to be with a gay man or something? Is that why you're so obsessed? Your internalized homophobia or insecurity about possibly, I'm just telling you the truth. Because people always end up saying what they're saying. I'm going off on a tangent here, but let me just say, am I lying? Go Toil says Eddie Long was the loudest and was in the closet. Yes. William Brown says obsession with size is serious LDE. Chelsea says nobody cares about if you're gay, get over yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to them. Nobody cares. Everyone thinks like you make a gay joke about me or about someone, like that's an own. It's not an own. It says more about you. And you have nerve enough to make fun of like trans people and drag people when, the vice presidential candidate that you support was in drag. There's nothing wrong with it if that's your thing, but don't make fun of it. If you're going to demonize people for stuff like that, they are insecure, says Jamie Loons. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna get to some of these folks because they think I heard so much going across the country. All of these immigrants and these migrants are all on getting EBT cards and living free off the government, and it's all bullshit. That's not true. Do we do certain things for migrants to help people from other countries? Yes, because guess what? For all of you who are saying, oh my God, what would Jesus do? Jesus was the biggest liberal, biggest socialist, by the way, in the history of the world. If you're a Christian, always wanted to give somebody a handout and saying, if you're going to be a rich person, cannot get into heaven. It's easier for what? A camel to get through the eye of a needle. But yet you're obsessed with wealth and not helping other people and demonizing the least of these. You're not lying, says April Morgan. I know I'm not lying, April. I know I'm not lying. And you know how I know I'm not lying? I want you to listen to, speaking of insecurity about all things that I just mentioned, is none other at this rally than one Mr. Tucker Carlson. Here it is.
From now to look in the eye to America with a straight face, it's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal.
A freak or a criminal. She is whatever Samoan or whatever. Now that is disparaging of the sitting vice president. Now I wonder what he would have said if someone had said that shit about Mike Pence or Dick Cheney or whoever the Republican sitting vice president was at the time. And I love how these people have all this shit to say about Kamala Harris and about, oh, she doesn't answer a question straightly, it's word salad. Have you ever heard Donald Trump answer a question? Have you ever heard him talk about the weave? That's exactly what the weave is about. The weave is about how he never answers a question and he dodges them. But for him, it is an attribute. And for her, but it's a con. It's a shortcoming. Yes, Will Butte Jr., you're right. Tucker is that. Have you ever noticed how the rules are different for her? The standards are different for her? What is that? It's either racism because you think it's she can't be smart because she's black or woman, or it's misogyny or sexism because she can't be smart. Obviously, she's smart. She was a senator. She's attorney general. She's a sitting vice president. She's a prosecutor. She's a lawyer. She got her Juris Doctorate. She passed the bar, on and on. Okay, I don't know many dumb people who can do that. She has more experience than Donald Trump when he became president, who had no political experience and is a terrible businessman. How do you bankrupt a casino or casinos? Do you know any casinos that go bankrupt? The rules are stacked against the person in the casino. You're printing money. He can't make money on a casino, really? Come on now. So basically saying she's stupid and that it's DEI. DEI. The whole DEI thing from last night, Dr. Phil had a lot to say about it. Dr. Phil is saying that it's DEI. And if you can find yesterday the Dr. Phil one, just play it whenever. I know I didn't ask you for it, but if you can find it, please play it.
We didn't choose the name for that by random. Merit Street Media. This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI. This country was built on hard work.
Now, I agree with you, Dr. Phil. It was built on hard work. From the folks you like to talk about from DEI. First off, the woman, the only reason that you have a national platform, the only reason that people even know who you are is because of a black woman who put you here, who catapulted you into prominence, who many talked about her, many of the same, your ilk, people from the same party at some point called her DEI. I'm talking about Oprah, who was the most successful talk show in history, a Black woman. And I hear it all the time. Oprah's affirmative action. Oprah, you used to hear it. You used to hear it back in the day. People hate, they don't like Oprah now. Why is Oprah supporting this? Why Oprah? And they're talking about that. That is how you came to prominence, Dr. Phil, through a woman that people would say was placed there for DEI. So does that mean that you're DEI because she helped you into prominence? She's also a Black woman, and people have said, oh, maybe she should run for president. She goes, I don't want it. A Black woman put you where you are now. Let's not forget that. And also, you are right. This country was built on hard work, on the backs of slaves from Africa. You're right about that. And so all of the diversity, equity, and inclusion could be what? All of the companies, the Europeans who came over from America, who what? Took the land from the Native Americans and then were able to build wealth on the backs of Native Americans and Africans. Now that would lead me to believe that that is diversity, equity, and inclusion for the white folks who came over. So you're right. It was built on the back. It was built on hard work through slaves who built this damn country for free. Dr. Phil, you better check yourself. Who built the White House? Who built the White House? You're right, Victor. Slaves built the White House. Check yourself, Dr. Phil. Maybe have a little humility and say, every time you get on stage, you should be sending Oprah flowers every day of your life. Thank you, Miss Winfrey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Without you, I would be nobody. Or you wouldn't be. I shouldn't say you would be nobody, because I'm sure you had some sort of thing you were doing something for her to recognize you. But you weren't Dr. Phil. You certainly would. I mean, certainly Dr. Oz wasn't Dr. Oz. I'm just saying. Don't get me started. Do not get me started. Let's see where I want to go, because I have so many things so let me tell you, I had the compilation of the weird behavior. I did that. Okay. So this morning, just to respond to this racist stuff, right? There was, cable news is kind of, I shouldn't say they're freaking out. And I don't even believe that they're over-indexing on this, because I do believe that this is a big deal and I'm passionate about it. I am, because this is some bullshit. And it's some bullshit because, again, imagine if this had happened at a Kamala Harris rally. Just imagine that. If someone had said any of this stuff. Oh, before I get to the response from Morning Joe, I just want to show you. No, I'll respond. I'll do it. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Morning Joe responding to this racist BS. Here it is.
And frankly, how it could electrify this electorate.
Well, there's a couple of things. As you mentioned, this was a hate rally. Mm-hmm. This was not just a presidential rally. This was also not just a campaign rally. I think it's very important for people to.
She's right. This was a hate rally. This was a hate rally. It was not a campaign rally. Again, as I said before, imagine if this would have happened at a Kamala Harris rally, okay, or any other rally for Democrat, Republican, whomever, Democrat or whomever. You don't hear this at other rallies. You don't hear this. And this is like a mini convention of bigots. A mini bigot convention. A mini bigot convention. This is a big deal. AOC is right. Now, look, I got to tell you, I don't always agree with AOC. I was like scratching my head with the whole Amazon thing in New York. I'm like, oh my gosh, AOC, why did you do that? So many jobs were needed. So I can disagree with her, but I also appreciate her passion. And I think she's actually a really smart politician. I think she's a very smart politician because she has learned how to have longevity in Congress. She's not, I shouldn't say, I don't believe she's learned how to play the game. I think she's learned how to do it her way and still remain viable and relevant, and also to work with members of her own party and even across the aisle sometimes. So she is growing and maturing and evolving. And she's right. This was a hate rally. This was a MAGA cult rally. Let's continue on.
You understand that these are mini January 6 rallies. These are mini Stop the Steal rallies. These are rallies to prime an electorate into rejecting the results of an election if it doesn't go the way that they want. Because Donald Trump and that entire cadre of people up on that stage, Stephen Miller, etc., do not respect the law of the United States of America. And they either want to win this election or they are using rhetoric of taking it by force. That is what they mean, and that's what they're doing when they are inciting violence and hatred against Latinos, against Black Americans, against Americans who don't have children, against, I mean, you have J.D. Vance literally talking about watering down people's right to vote, depending on if they can viably carry a child or not. We have to understand how unhinged this campaign has gotten, and the only reason that the rhetoric has gotten this far is precisely because they are trying to prime the kind of froth that led up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And so it's very—
Pause, please. Okay, is that the end of it? Is that the end of it, Andy? You can come on and tell me if you want. I don't mind.
No, there's more.
Okay, all right. So hold that right there. She's right, guys. And listen, you know, I heard someone this morning, I heard Sean Spicer this morning saying, you know, you guys want to do that on one joke, on one comedian or whatever. It's not about one joke. This is indicative of what has happened to the party and what their rhetoric has become and what they believe, where they don't even recognize just how far off they are and how they're trying to push a certain narrative onto people, especially young people, especially, quite honestly, young white men and even young Black men. They're listening to the same they have the similar media diet. I want to get to that in a minute to explain to you all of this. But they are trying to push this BS off. Listen, guys, we have so many people watching us this morning and subscribing and streaming. Make sure that you subscribe. Subscribe, it's free. And every time we come up, you'll get a notice. And you want to hear the information and you want to follow us on all of our socials. And I appreciate the folks who are watching now on TikTok. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and like and follow us as well, and check out our content on social media on all the platforms. And if you want to join us on YT, which we're live on now, your comments will get up. I just want to thank some of the folks before I move on a little bit. Some of the folks who are here, like Danny Dude Lido. Danny, wow. Extremely generous. Danny, should I say Danny, $1,000, really? It's amazing. Thank you. Wow. I think it must be really resonating because we're getting a lot of folks. I know there's some people are doing like $500. So thank you, Danny. Thank you, with New Kim, for your generous contribution as well, for supporting independent media. I really thank you all for that. And again, make sure you guys like and subscribe, okay? Thank you, BB Girl McKellar, 50 cents or $50. I love it. Thank you, Stacy Collins Johnson. I appreciate and I got to shout you guys out because this is amazing. Again, I didn't ask you guys for this, but you guys know what's up. We don't have a huge corporation behind us. Thank you, Maureen Marfell, for your as well. We don't have I don't have the big corporation, the big money makers behind us. And it costs to put this stuff on the air. And, unless I'm going to tell you, unless you're like a conservative, you're one of those guys that we mentioned, or one of those guys who were up on the stage last night, people don't really, they support the right wing and the rich sort of billionaire oligarchs. They support those guys. Terry Stork, thank you. But the folks, for the moderate, sane people, even if you're to the left or slightly, you know, right-centered or whatever, don't get the kind of support. It's always Kristen Dewey, thank you so much. It's always the right-leaning bros who get the corporate sponsorships, donorships, and sponsors, all of that. Okay? And it's just the truth. I'm telling you the truth. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. Okay. So I just want to, it's not, this is what's baked in. This is what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to appeal to the worst among their supporters, the worst thinking. They want to say the racist things, and they know if they say the racist things or the sexist things or whatever, those people will go, yes, because they've been wanting to say it themselves and they haven't been able to say it. And now you have a politician or an influencer or a streamer or a podcaster who's saying this, and they're like, hey, look, man, they don't care about you. They care about the gays. They don't care about you. They care about the women. They don't care about you. They care about the immigrants. They're not speaking for you. They think that you have privilege and that all of these things, and you don't have it. Well, come on. And you ask those people, what would you rather be in the society? You want to be a gay person? Thank you, Jay West. I appreciate it. Yep, Jay. Do you want to be a trans person? If you think that trans people and gay people have so much privilege or influence or have so much of a voice in this society, then okay. Do you want to be an immigrant? Would you like to be Puerto Rican? Would you like to be black? And I don't mean like be black because you want to be cool, right? You want to be a culture vulture and you want to steal from the black community, steal all the best attributes, so athleticism, the artistry, the poetry, the beauty, the hair, the brown skin, all of the beautiful things about black folks and about brown people. Not that you just want to steal that, but also you have to deal with the other shit that we have to deal with, like the stuff that you say on stage about us at a rally, a hate cult rally in the middle of New York City at Madison Square Garden. Do you want to deal with that? Do you want to deal with being discriminated against about not getting a job or not being able to get loans or housing or not being able to have generational wealth? Or having your parents or your family not be able to be a legacy at a college or university and you can't get in there? Or you haven't owned a home for centuries or decades or property for that long where you can take that money and pay for and it can carry you throughout your life? You don't have that? I know every white person doesn't have that. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, you've been able to do that and get an education and vote. And many of those folks have not. Women have not. People of color have not had that privilege, which is really a right, for a long time. It has only been within the last few decades that has been possible. When this country has been around for hundreds of years, and there were only certain people who were allowed the rights and privileges to be able to do those things in order to what? To build generational wealth and security, and to not understand that you are in a position of privilege to be able to do that. Just as I am someone who worked really hard, but don't get me wrong, luck and timing has a lot to do with everything. You can be as smart as you are, and if there isn't an opportunity that presents itself, it's going to be tough for everybody. So I realize, even as a man of color, even as a gay man, I am in a position of privilege for most people because I somehow have been able to what? To make it because of hard work. I work my ass off, so don't even try it. I have experience. I've been doing this since the 1990s. Don't even try it. I've worked in almost, 10 or so, if not more, local markets to build my way up to be able to do this. I've even worked at network news, broadcasting, and network news for cable. So don't give me that bullshit about I'm a DEI hire or I'm affirmative action. No, because there are people who had been working for far less time than I have far less experience, who came in and leapfrogged me because they were cute or white, or they had light blonde hair, or they needed someone with a certain haircut. So don't give me that. If you don't understand that as an American, then you're not a patriot if you don't understand that. If you don't see that's happening, if you don't think that you have a privilege as a white man in this society to be able to go into any place almost and do whatever you want. And I mean, even over women, where I've sat in meetings and watched women make great points, have great proposals, have great ideas, have tons of experience, and no one pays attention until the white guy goes, And they go, oh, ooh, he said it, so therefore it must be. Yep. Am I lying? I'm not lying. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez continues on MSNBC. Here it is.
And so it's very important that we connect those dots. And right now, the campaign is scrambling, and they're trying to blame this rhetoric on a so-called comedian. This is not a comedian.
Bingo.
This is the Trump campaign.
Bingo.
They invited this rhetoric on their stage for a reason. It was a chorus of speakers on that campaign for a reason. It was vetted, and they knew exactly who was going to say what before they went on. And so the only backtracking that they're doing right now is just because tens of thousands of Puerto Ricans happen to live in Philadelphia, Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, and also the several swing seats in the House of Representatives that run through the state of New York. And they're just realizing that they might have made a big error by saying out loud what they're thinking.
Right on, AOC. That one I agree with you 100%. 100, not 100, 100%. I agree with you. 100%. Now, what did I say? I wanted to go to something that I wanted to talk about some of this stuff that's happening. Let's see here. Talking about misinformation, the weird behavior, Nazi. So some of the people who were on that stage or who went to that rally yesterday, they actually thought it was funny. That's how you know that they're not taking some of this stuff seriously, okay? Because they went to that rally yesterday and they thought it was funny. They didn't even see it. Like I said, you can't even see it because you're too close to it. So I want to show you, this is some rally goers here. I believe they were at I think they were at Penn Station or Grand Central or somewhere, as they were getting on the trains to go back to wherever it is that they were going, Long Island, New Jersey, whatever it is, or just to the airport to leave Manhattan or to take the subway, where they thought this was an own, which was actually kind of describing some of the behavior that was happening at these rallies. Here they are.
Heard that Nazis were supposed to be here. That's what Hillary Clinton said. So we out here to see. Have you seen a Nazi today?
We are the Nazi party. Yes.
Yeah. Yo, I'm white though. I'm the
Nazi right here. Yes.
Yeah.
Dominican Nazi.
Dominican Nazi.
Latina
Nazi. We got.
Oh, I'm the black Nazi.
Black Nazi.
The biggest blackest Nazi you ever seen in your life.
I'm the Jewish Nazi. The Jewish Nazi. Hey, listen, I'm the cool Nazi. I'm the white Nazi. I'm the cool himself. He out here, baby.
He's the white
Nazi. And he's the white Nazi. White Nazi. He's the
all united here to make Donald J. Trump the 47th president of the United States.
Stop listening to the media.
Okay, so perfect. Stop listening to the media. I have my issues with the media. But there are people who are in charge of the media. Yes, Hope Bivens. That's my point. They don't even see it. And they don't even see like they stop listening to the media when they're being manipulated by the media. They think like they're not paying attention to the media, but they actually are, right? Just because it's new media doesn't mean that it is not media, okay? So remember when I said that that was the whole point for this rally and what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said. The other point of what's going on with the media is made very clear and very plain and very sensibly by this gentleman who was on the Bill Maher show, where disinformation is what they want and you don't even know it's happening. And I believe that is what's happening right now as we are starting to get our information in places where there's no vetting, no editorial standards, no editorial rigors, no editorial process where you can just get on and say whatever you want. And all of these folks are listening to things that are not true, and they are believing it because they've been told the media is fake. But you should listen to my media. So they're fake, but I'm going to buy a media company, whether it's social or whatever, and then I'm going to give you a message that you are now supposed to believe it's real. And by the way, you're buying into it. Here's a gentleman from Bill Maher this weekend.
The issue is that democracy is based on trust, whereas dictatorship is based on terror. If you systematically destroy trust in institutions, destroy trust in the media, in academia, in the courts, and so forth, some people think that this is liberating the people from these institutions. Right. It's not. When you destroy all trust, the only thing that can still work is a dictatorship. So this is what would-be dictators do. They systematically destroy trust. And the other thing to realize is that the vast majority of information is not truth. A key misconception, especially in places like Silicon Valley, is to equate information with truth. Most information is junk. I mean, the truth is a very rare and costly and precious sub-kind of information. Because, you know, to write a truthful story, you need to invest a lot of time and effort and money in research and fact-checking, whereas fiction is very, very cheap.
Did you guys hear that? I want you guys, do you hear that? Do you hear it? Andy, I want you to re-rack it. Do you hear that, please? Do you hear that? You think that you are listening and that what you have is truthful when it's not. You're getting information, but it's not necessarily truthful. And you're acting upon that information that is not based in fact. And what happens? What happens when you do that? You end up being co-opted by a cult figure. You end up on the steps of the Capitol with your face on camera and breaking in, and you end up going to jail for an insurrection. You end up believing that an election was stolen, and you get all of your belongings taken away, including your luxury penthouse apartment, and you have to declare bankruptcy. Rudy Giuliani, who should know better. That's a grift. That's a whole nother thing. That's a grift that went wrong. But you end up what? Believing lies. Okay? And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of that. But no matter how much you tell people, no matter how much you give them the information, they don't believe it because they've been told not to trust media and they've been told not to trust facts. But you're supposed to believe the media that I have, Truth Social and others, with no content moderation. This is, now I want you to listen, okay? This is a young man in college, and I'm just saying, look, smart kid, but I'm just going to show you how he gets his information, where he gets it from, and it has nothing to do with anything with people who are checking their facts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and who have an obligation to tell the truth, or they lose their license to broadcast, or they can be sued, Fox News, for putting out fake information. That's not where people are getting their information from. This is the reason that people like Kill Tony are on stage and others, because they know that they're going to spread it. People are going to like it. They can create a joke around it. And then all of a sudden you end up living a lie. Here's a young man.
For president, yeah.
For president. And how you feeling?
I'm going to be voting for Trump.
How you feel though?
I'm feeling good.
What are your reasons? What are your policies? What are your issues?
Economy and just, Yeah, probably for me, economy and the immigration crisis.
Immigration. What would you like to see? Why economy?
I just think that Trump has more ground in economy, which gives him the most experience in that, and it would improve his, I don't know, just like...
Where do you get your information? Where do you get news?
I try to stay away from mainstream media, more so like reading articles online and listening to podcasts, stuff like that.
Like what podcast?
I watch a lot of Rogan, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, more conservative guys.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I'm raised conservative.
Yeah. You're part of the manosphere. Have you heard that term?
Yeah.
That Donald Trump is going after.
Pretty much. I don't watch like the more like extreme ones like Andrew Tate and those ones.
Tim Pool's a little extreme.
Is he?
Come on.
Well, I haven't watched him as much because of the recent stuff that I've seen. He's been like kind of clickbaiting a lot, and I think the numbers are showing that Gen Z is more open to voting for Trump than before. And it could be because of him appearing on podcasts and things like that, but it could also be that Gen Z is just starting to get a little tired of how things are going right now.
Yep. He's right, again. But he's being drawn into that, and he thinks that this is the way to get information, this is real, that it doesn't have to be, okay? Now, if you don't believe me, right? So this is a young man, and look, remember, social media, these sites are all over the world. They're not just here in America, okay? Here is, these are two young men, one specifically, same sort of thing, getting information from similar places, okay? Talking about how he gets information and what he believes is freedom of speech. Now, remember, freedom of speech has nothing to do with social media sites. It has to do with the government. But this is what he believes, okay? That, and again, not from America, but if he was here, he said he would vote for Donald Trump because he believes in freedom of speech. Now, I got to tell you guys something after this. Here's a young man. Could vote in America. Who would you vote for?
Donald Trump.
You would. Tell me why.
I just think that this is the last opportunity for Republicans to win this election, because Kamala's letting so many immigrants in, and immigrants who she'll give the vote to vote Democrat.
Yeah. She's not letting immigrants in. She's not the president.
Well, yeah. Well, she's in control of the border.
No, she's not in control.
Well, yes, she is.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. That's her role as vice president.
No, that's not her role. That's what you've been hearing. That's not her role. Her role was to fix the countries around the border so that it would be an incentive for people not to come in. But she's not in charge of the border.
Well, even if
that's the Congress and the Senate.
Even if she isn't, if she becomes president, let's say she becomes president, it will be her role to control the border.
Yeah. And she said that she wants to control the border, and she wanted a very conservative. Hey, she wanted a very conservative bipartisan bill that was thwarted by Trump and the Republicans. She wants to enact that to help the border and to get more resources to stop people from coming over and more border agents.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, it's kind of the opposite of what you're saying.
Well, it's not what we've been hearing.
Where are you listening?
Twitter.
X. I mean, okay. Do you know what X is happening with X now?
You tell me.
No, you tell me.
Well, it's free speech. Free speech nation.
Well, you know, free speech has nothing to do with social media. No idea. I had to explain to them that when you're on a social media platform, or when you're on even this, and when you're on YT, when you're on whatever, even when you're on, you know, one of the main broadcaster cable companies, if you go on there, you have to conduct yourself in a certain way. They don't have to, no one has to invite you on, right? It's a privilege to be on. But I always say it's like when you enter someone's house, they get to tell you, if someone comes in your home, you get to tell them how they have to conduct themselves. If they're too loud, too rowdy, they don't want to take off their shoes, you don't have to let them in. All those things, there are rules that you have, the rules of your house that you have. It's the same thing that for social media. Just like when you go to work. When you go into a building, if you go into a store, have you ever been to the store and it says no shirt, no shoes, no service? They're telling you that's how you must conduct yourself. That's private entities, private places, and even some public places. Right? You can't go into a park after certain hours because it's closed. All these things, right? You have rules that has nothing to do with freedom of speech. People are trying to co-opt you, and they're lying to you, thinking if we're not allowed to just be able to be bigots and whatever and say whatever we want and spread misinformation, and that's somehow impinging upon your freedom of speech. That is a lie. That's not what's happening. But you're buying it and you're believing it. Okay? And then you end up with people like this man at the Capitol who's in denial that there was even an insurrection, and the people who actually participated in that insurrection should even be prosecuted. That not even knowing how the National Guard works and who's in charge of the National Guard, and not even knowing the facts around that. Here's what you end up with. This.
I'm sorry, which clip, Don?
The one for the man in the Capitol with the hat about January 6th.
I don't have that one yet. Stand by.
Okay. So Andy will put that one up. That's what you end up with. Not only do you end up with that, you end up with this as a party. As you search for that, Andy, this is Mitt Romney talking about the truth and what is happening to the Republican Party, which has essentially become a MAGA party. This explains it. Here it is.
You know, we have, what, I think approximately 70% of Republicans still say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. It's like, are we going to abandon truth to that degree? I mean, it's absolutely absurd. I mean, after all this time, all the courts that were, solicited to look into it, there's been no evidence of widespread fraud. Actually, most of the evidence I've seen so far has been Republicans trying to corrupt the election. And yet they continue to put it out there and promote it. It's like, how does a party survive in a setting like that?
How does it? Remember Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney is a Republican. Mitt Romney ran against Barack Obama. Mitt Romney wanted to run. Mitt Romney has run for president a number of times. And is a Republican. Just saying. And is a Republican. Whenever you have the other one, just run it. And then you end up with
since
people
we're having such a great conversation, what did you think of January 6th happening right here?
I wasn't here, but I mean, I think it's sad that they're holding these people and they're letting in murderers and terrorists, and these people are done misdemeanors. What do? They welcomed them into the place. Pelosi welcomed them all in.
Pelosi welcomed them in.
Exactly, her and her leaders. They said they didn't want any the police patrol. No, we're okay.
That wasn't under her purview.
Wasn't under her. I thought she was head of the Speaker of the House.
Well, see,
pause,
that goes
please.
back to conservative.
Did you guys know what happened? So I asked them like where they got their media, whatever, and they started telling me where they got it, and mostly it was conservative media, right? Where they listened to, got their information. But they didn't understand that on January 6th, that Nancy Pelosi and I think it was Kevin McCarthy, whatever. They said, okay, Sergeant, it's really the Sergeant at Arms who gets to decide, or the President of the United States. Like there's a process to happen. It's not just like, hey, Nancy Pelosi, call the National Guard. Like they said, okay, they approved it. The president did not send them. Okay? But they don't know that because they're listening to an echo chamber, either of conservative media or they're on social media. And people who don't care about, have no standards when it comes to truth. Remember, in a lawsuit, when they were fighting the whole Tucker Carlson thing, and Smartmatic and Dominion, they said that they don't have an obligation to tell the truth to their viewers. So I'm just saying, think about it. And you end up with this. Him thinking Pelosi, as he says, invited them in. Continue.
The media again. I heard like 2 days before January 6th, like January 4th, Case Patel and President Trump said, let's get troops in there.
Not true.
You don't think that people should be prosecuted for breaking into the Capitol?
Prosecuted? I think they've done more than their time for a misdemeanor. Breaking in, they didn't
A
break
misdemeanor.
in, they welcomed them in.
Yeah,
Let's
not a
get the
misdemeanor.
truth.
Waved them in.
Yeah.
Not a
Did you guys
misdemeanor.
see the video? Did you see them beating police officers with flagpoles?
No.
no. That was set up. They let Antifa in, all these people to start these riots.
Yes.
All of the
Antifa.
people who were broke into the Capitol, you think were Antifa?
That broke in?
Broke in? I would say yes.
It's all set up, just like Antifa. You know, they send in the people to start these riots and wars, and then they, you know, they're going to, the whole crowd's going to join in. You know, that's bum rush to.
Okay. You guys don't believe that, do you? You know that's not true, right? And you know it's not a misdemeanor. Now, look, I got to tell you this. There are so many times when I do those interviews that I could call people out and I could, but here's what I'm trying to get people to understand, because I get a lot of people saying, why didn't you say that? If you correct them at every turn, then they stop and they'll walk away, or they don't get their point across. So sometimes you just have to let people talk, and then you check them on the big things. So instead of saying, you know, it's a misdemeanor, I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell them what is that going to get me, you know, for them. So I'll just say, so you think that it was Antifa, or you think that they shouldn't be prosecuted? And that gets you a much bigger answer than some of the small things, or just some of the nitpicky things that you can call them on. Like, I don't say, you know, it's Kamala instead of Kamala every single time. Because then you thwart the conversation, and then you don't hear what they had to say. Then you end up with things like that. People who don't know what's real. So if you are on TikTok and you're a MAGA person and you're believing this, or you're on this platform or wherever this is going to be shared, and you are believing that man, I've seen people saying that man is telling the truth, and you believe it's Antifa. First of all, Antifa or Antifa, whatever you want to call them, is not like some cohesive group of people that roam around, or that like they get pay their club membership dues and they meet on Friday night at this particular hall. It's just a group of anarchists or people who are anti-fascists. And it doesn't make sense. Why would Antifa start an insurrection against their candidate who had won? They would be happy about it. And then if you believe it was Antifa, then why are you upset that they're in jail? It makes no sense at all. And then you also end up with things like ads like this, where you're calling a woman out of her name to make a point. Here it is.
This ad contains multiple instances of the C word. Viewer discretion is advised. Kamala Harris is a C word. You heard that right. A big old C word. In fact, all of the other C words think she's the biggest C word of them all. That's right, she's a tax-hiking, regulation-loving, gun-grabbing communist. And the worst part, she's proud of it. Kamala Harris, the C word America simply can't afford. See you nationwide, Tuesday, November 5th.
What you think of that? That's what we've come to. What do you think of that? That's what we've come to. Now, I have to tell you the instances of, we've spoken to many people as we go out on these things. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you hit the like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, make sure you check out all of our content no matter where we are, okay? So TikTok, I'm glad that you're joining us, and I'm glad that you're joining us on our original platform here, okay? There have only been 2 instances of people who were upset and were like, oh my God, can you please not put that out there, because I can't take the mean comments. Now, what do you want to guess that is? 2 instances since we've been doing that. Only been 2, and you've seen them both. It is 2 of them, and I won't point them out exactly, but it's always the people who say, freedom of speech, stop trying to censor me, Stop trying to censor everybody. Everything should be put out there. We should be able to decide what's factual and what's true and what is insulting and not. All the information should go out there. Then their comments go out, and then they email us or contact us and say, please take that down. The comments are so mean, I can't take them. I'm just worried that people are going to be saying mean things about me. I can't handle it. I kid you not, I swear. It's always the people who say that they are free speech absolutists and that every comment should be put out on social media, regardless, because people need to know it and they need to hear it. And it doesn't matter how it makes people feel. It doesn't matter if it's hurtful. None of that matters. But I'm losing my freedom of speech. And then you're emailing our company behind the scenes saying, please take that down. I can't take it. It's so mean. And you have the nerve to call other people snowflakes. You have the nerve to say that you believe in it and that you think people are censoring things because of some agenda. The rules only apply to other people. They don't apply to you. I can't take it. You don't think it's hurtful when people call me the N-word or the F-word or all kinds of things on social media? You don't think that I would want to call and say, please take that down. It's so mean. It's hurtful. Where do I go to do that? Where does Kamala Harris go to do that? Where does the average person who you are calling out of their name or you're responding to them on social media, where you're saying hurtful and derogatory things about them, where do they go to get you to take your comment down? It's always the same people. Freedom of speech. Don't censor me. Hi, Don and Lemon Company. Please take it down. It is so mean. The comments are so hurtful. No shit. Do you get it now? As we used to say back in the day, no shit, Sherlock. Now you understand. Now you understand what content moderation is about. And so what we have to do as a company and say, okay, do we leave it up? Is it hurtful to the person? We don't want them to harm themselves. What are they? Whatever. That is what moderation is, where you think about it and then you go, okay, well, maybe we should do that. Or maybe we can rethink that. Or maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that. Other folks will just go, you won't respond. You may get an emoji as a response. I'm talking to you and I know you're watching. And I know that some of the same people, if you are in these comments now, whether you're on TikTok or wherever you are, and you think like, okay, it should be the wild, wild west until it is you and you start whining like a baby and melting like a snowflake. Oh my God, you got to believe, I'll do anything if you take, I'm not kidding you. I'm not exaggerating either. This is not hyperbole. I'll do anything if you take it down. My friends are seeing this. People are saying mean things about me. Duh. And you know what it is? It is always the people who, guess what? They walk up to us and ask us to interview them. And then they see themselves on the site, on camera, and they go, oh my God, did I say that? Is that what I sound like? Is that what I look like? Holy smokes. So it is a mirror. A mirror is being held up to you and you go, shit. Whoa. Is this what it's really like? It's okay when it's somebody else, but it's not okay when it's you. That's hypocrisy. Trolls are big mad, says Tim K. I don't care. Y'all get mad. I'm telling the truth today. I don't care what you say. And this bigoted ass racist rally that they had yesterday that was akin to whatever you want to call it. It was a fascist rally. Whatever it is, it was racist, it was dumb, it was inconsiderate. These people have no sense of anything proportionality, or they just have no conception, no concept of where they are and where we are in the world, because they're believing all of this bullshit that is on social media that people are not vetting. Until you are the subject of it and people turn their ire and their comments towards you. So you're used to being a keyboard bully. Let's own the libs. We're going to own the libs. And then what happens? You say something and people go, man, this is some stupid shit you said. Wow, you need to go. What? Are you in college? Your parents are paying for that? Are you a grown man and you think that? Well, you crazy? Look at this. And then you get mad. Please take it down. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. It's so interesting owning a company and seeing how people respond to this and seeing the hypocrisy and seeing just how flimsy a foundation that Maga is built upon. Just how flimsy a foundation that the Maga party is built upon, which has now become the Republican Party. You need more mirrors to be held up. Yeah, that's called throwing a rock and hiding your hand. Thank you, Suzette McKnight. That's what it is. It's also just called, it is called entitlement. I am entitled. I can say it. I can do it. I can think that way. And because I'm supposed to be able to do it and say it, and it should happen with impunity, which means I'm not supposed to pay the consequences for it. I can say it and not face the consequences. But then when you face the consequences and you see yourself, you get big mad. And then you want moderation. It's not censorship. You want moderation. And by the way, I think every case should be taken, it should be all be on a case-by-case basis. You should have certain standards and certain rules, but then, you know, even if you're within your right, as we are, sometimes you're like, okay, look, I don't want to cause that person. What does it matter? What does that matter? Sure, you know, we can take it down and we can whatever it is. But just remember, we don't edit anything to make anybody look bad. We barely edit for time, maybe for, you know, to make sure that it fits in a certain thing. But we don't change what anybody says on any of those things. You are hearing them in their natural habitat. As they say, my Southern friends, a hit dog will holler. I think I've shared enough with you this morning. I've gone on, but just remember the hypocrisy in all of this. Just remember that there are people out there who like buzzwords, can't explain it, and there are people out there who will say anything to win. There are people who, especially people who are part of the MAGA crowd, who will give all of these buzzwords about what they think Marxism is and communism is and what free speech is and what censorship is, and they have no idea what it is. Case in point, these two students who are debating back and forth, and one of them says, oh, you know, this is some Marxist shit and whatever, and the guy says, what do you mean by Marxism? Explain that. He can't explain it. This is what happens with most of the MAGA people that I meet out in the wild and on social media. This is what they say.
Kind of come out of nowhere, and she previously had extremely Marxist policies we saw in the 2019 Democratic presidential debate.
That's right. And let me tell you, this is a God's honest truth. When I talk to people, especially the MAGA people and Trump supporters, there's a few who talk about policies or whatever, and I understand there are some, but for the most part, they are just giving buzzwords. It's the economy. So what about the economy? It was better under Trump. Well, not really. If you want to look at facts and statistics, they're not. Yeah, prices are up, but also gas prices are down. Well, it's the taxes. We are under Donald Trump's taxes. They don't expire until 2025. Well, I didn't say taxes. Yes, you did. They don't know about policy. They have not researched anything, and they are giving buzzwords. And most of the time, the people, I got to be honest with you, especially young people, these college students, the guys I talked to at Morehouse, they have researched their support of Vice President Kamala Harris, and they are talking about policy. The women I speak to as a supporter, they're talking about women's reproductive rights, healthcare. My child's on the spectrum. I need to, she's offering, she wants to give money and incentives for childcare. Like they can talk about policy. And while they're supporting the MAGA folks, especially the young people, I was raised conservative. My parents are conservative. I'm listening to these conservative podcasters. So then what you need to know, and I'm going to let you go soon. What you need to know if you are doing this is that you are listening to people who will say and come up with any kind of plan, any kind of structure that gets you to vote for them. They will say anything to win. They will say, well, civil rights wasn't about slavery. They'll say anything to win. Anything to win. They'll say this person is a great person. This person is this person is that, when they have said derogatory things about them in the past, where they may have called them some of the worst things or compared them to one of the worst people in history. And now they love them. J.D. Vance. People say, oh, Kamala Harris said that that Donald Trump was like Hitler. She never said that. John Kelly, the president's former and longest serving, Trump's longest and former and longest serving chief of staff, actually is the one who said that. She is answering a question asking if she thinks Trump is the F word, right? As if they call fascist. And she goes, yes. And John Kelly said this, and I think that he is that. She didn't actually say it. John Kelly said it. But you know who called him those things? J.D. Vance did. Not so long ago. And so when the former president says this about Pat Buchanan and that he thought he was one of the worst people in the world, and then all of a sudden he says something else different this day and age because now he has become a conservative or a Republican, then you know people will say anything to win. They will do anything to win to get your vote, including co-opting you and having you become part of a cult. Donald Trump said that all these great things about Pat Buchanan last night on that stage, and that he was great. By the way, I don't know why he's bringing up Pat Buchanan, because Pat Buchanan is so like 20 years ago. He's a great American. He's this, he's a patriot, he's this, and this was him not so long ago, in a time gone by when Donald Trump was a Democrat and a liberal and believed in abortion and all of those things. This is what he was saying about Pat Buchanan back then. Watch.
Tomorrow, Pat Buchanan is announcing that he will be a candidate for the presidency on the Reform Party.
I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, he wrote a book because, look, he's a Hitler lover. I guess he's an anti-Semite. He doesn't like the blacks. He doesn't like the gays. It's just incredible that anybody could embrace this guy.
Y'all, come on now. But you know, Kamala Harris flip-flops on everything. Kamala Harris changed her mind about fracking. What, all of a sudden, Pat Buchanan did not say those things that he said, and Donald Trump did? Come on, y'all, don't be stupid. I might have been born yesterday, but I still went shopping, as they say on Kids in the Hall. Come on. I want to leave you with this, because this was, I think, the best message of the weekend, even above Kamala Harris, who gave a great speech at her speech rally this weekend. Above all the racist bullshit that happened on that stage at Madison Square Garden, that is really going to be problematic and is problematic for the Trump campaign. Don't get it twisted, and they know it, because things are sticky that happen online, social media. It's sticky. So this is problematic. This is what problematic. But you know that I want all of you to listen, that I'm going to leave you with. I want all of you to listen to this. All of the bros, all of the black dudes, all of the white dudes, all of you, all of the women who said, I can't support this. This is not about your religious right, how you believe and your religious right. This is not about that. There's nothing to do. If you don't believe in this, then don't do it for yourself. But don't try to decide what other people can and cannot do with their bodies. And I thought the best speech this weekend, the one that everyone should take away, the one that everyone should carry back to their homes, their places of work, their coffee shop, their restaurant, their auntie, their uncle's house, their cousin's house, their friend, everybody. This is the message that should be taken away. The former First Lady of the United States speaking this last weekend, Michelle Obama.
But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. So, are you as men prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety?
So look, it went on longer than that, but she talked about exactly what needed to be done, who you needed to speak to. She talked about, you may not think that this affects you, but if you're a young person, you have an unintended pregnancy. Remember, I just wrote a book, and look, abortions, I hate to call it abortions, they're about untenable pregnancies most of the time, not just not unintended pregnancies. But it affects not only the woman's lives or the young lady's lives who are directly affected by it, it's also directly affect you as a man who may be the father of that child, and the person who loves the woman who is impregnated, that you have a responsibility in all of this, that you should know that she could bleed out and die because she can't get medical care, that you should know that you have to take care of that child for the rest of that child's life and your life. That there are things that you may want to do with your future that you cannot or you won't be able to do because you have an unintended pregnancy. And no one is judging you about how it happened, when it happened, whatever. Young people are young people. You make mistakes. The hormones are raging. You're in love. You want to do this. You don't know about the world. And all of it. So you know what you make what some people consider a mistake. But you have to remember the ramifications are a lifetime and that you are affected by it. It's not just like, oh, there's a woman over there, she has to deal with those issues because she's a woman. No, you have to deal with them as well. You have to pay the child support. You have to pay for the soccer lessons and the dance lessons and the recital lessons and the football and the uniforms and the school and the college and the tuition and all of those things and the medical care and going to the doctor. You have to go with her. You have to do all of those things. And if her life is on the line and you believe you voted the wrong way and all of a sudden the doctor doesn't treat her and she gets injured or sick or God forbid dies, how are you going to feel about that? Don't be stupid. And this is not about your religious beliefs. We live in a reality that is concrete, that things happen in people's lives that go beyond praying for someone. Of course, you can pray for them. But there are things that are so immediate that those needs have to be taken care of in the moment. And not every time that you can pray for a miracle. So don't be stupid. Do not be dumb and think that you're upset or rage that people are, oh my God, they're paying attention to women more, they're paying attention to the gays, they're paying attention, and I as a dude, or I as a white guy should be able to do this, or I as a woman, I don't believe in abortion, I don't want to, well then don't have one. But don't subject other people to your religious standards, because we're supposed to be a nation of religious freedom and there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. So if your church and your religion tells you not to have an abortion, then don't do it. But don't try to overlay that to the state. And I don't mean sending it back to the states. I mean, don't try to put that on the government. Those are your religious beliefs, not the government's belief, not the state's beliefs. And never the two shall twine or mingle. I'll see you at 5 o'clock for our live at 5 today. And we're here every day. Our hot topics, this is a hot topic, wasn't it? At 10 a.m. and then 5 o'clock, we're much more straight focused, politically focused, okay? And just stuff that's happening in the news. I voted yesterday, and I'm proud to have voted yesterday. I voted early, and I voted the way that everyone should vote, for democracy. Don't be apathetic. Don't say, oh, well, I don't like either. It's not the lesser of two evils. It's not. That's BS. And stop listening to people because they just want you to listen to them because what? They are co-opted. They want to co-opt you. They are grifting. And they're not telling you the truth. Okay? So make sure, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, smash those hearts on TikTok, and follow us on TikTok. And we love the little gifts that you're sending. And by the way, I got to say, everyone, we had so many people who are supporting independent media today. And I just want to, if I can shout a couple of people out because I didn't. And if I didn't get to you, I'm so sorry. Okay. So let me just say, Lavette Thomas, thank you for supporting independent media. I love that you're doing it. Thank you, Kimberly Light, for supporting independent media. They don't understand economic theory. We live in the economy of the previous administration. Thank you. They don't understand that. Thank you, Lavette S. Thomas. Says, you are amazing. I thank you. I think that you're amazing too. Let's see who we have here. Thank you, Physiognomicius. Not quite sure how to say that, but I appreciate you. Thank you, Carol Campbell. Amen. I rarely comment, but you are preaching this morning. I took a break from my black job to go find my iPad so that I could post thank you for speaking the truth. Thank you, Carol Campbell. I appreciate you more than you know. Let's see who else we have here. We got the Physius. We got Carol Campbell. Let's see who we have on the other side of Carol Campbell. I cannot get to all of you, okay? But, oh, wait a minute. Am I doing that right? I screw up the comments sometimes, so I'm sorry about that. But I really do appreciate all of you so much, and that you are supporting independent media. It really does mean the world. If I did not get to your name and I didn't get to shout you out, let me know in the comments and I'll shout you out, okay? I need to let you guys know we're working on our election night plan. We're trying to decide what we're going to do. If it's going to be all social, because our social is popping and it's hitting, and it's penetrating a lot. I'm trying to figure out, I'm always transparent with the Lemon Heads and the LemoNation, whether we're going to do an all streaming night, meaning all social night, or if we're going to do some where we're in the studio. I know that you guys like us in the studio as well, or if I'm out there in the action happening where people are voting and where the election is actually being held. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, but we're figuring out that plan, and we hope that you can join us. It's going to be an amazing election night. You're going to learn so much from us. We're going to be where the action is happening. I'm going to continue to speak Dorothy Taylor. Don't you worry about that. Pepper 101 says, vote red. Pepper, if you want to vote red, that's your business. Go ahead. I just encourage everybody to vote, but know what you're voting on. Okay? Travis Johnson, thank you. I think it was a great show as well. Preach Don says, LaDonna Brooks, thank you. I know I got on my high horse today. What about New Year's Eve plans? Moni, we got that, but first things first. Live in the studio, Don, says some folks. Red is dead, says Toy B. Don, you can make the last part a short take, please. Thank you. Can you make the last part a short take? Thank you. I can. Look, we're at a very critical time here. We don't need time for bullshit. We don't have time for racists. We don't have time for people who are on the fence. We don't have time for people who want to throw their, quite frankly, this is democracy. But if you want to throw your vote away on a third-party candidate, I would say, I wouldn't say that in any other time. But I think that it is a mistake in this time. I do not believe in the lesser of two evils. I do not believe that Kamala Harris is evil at all. Do I believe that Donald Trump is evil? I certainly believe that the evidence shows that he leans into that. So with rhetoric, with how he speaks about people, with leaning into racism, his being racist, being sexist, sexual assault, criminal activity, cheating on his wife, lying about it, lying about a stolen election, lying about not trying to overturn an election and trying to overturn an election. Now, you tell me what that is. You tell me that someone who calls people fascists and communists and all kinds of names, the person who is now saying that other folks cannot call him a fascist, that he can call it what he believes it is, but other folks cannot call it what they believe it is. You tell me what that is. I report, you decide. We're keeping it real here. I'll see you at 5 o'clock live. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button, too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out. Went off on some rants today, okay?